There's a good chance that you have parasites right now. I have real world evidence and studies to show this. How many of you have a pet? And if you do, you know that you treat them for worms and other parasites. I know I have to treat my fish for parasites. So every animal that we take care of, we treat them for parasites. How often do you get checked for parasites? I don't think I've gotten checked for parasites since I was 11. You may think it's out of the picture for you to have parasites because we have clean drinking water and clean food and we cook our food, but I don't think that's the case, and there's studies to show this. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, I had pinworms. If you don't know what these are a type of nematode, like related to roundworms and other shit like that, right? And it's very uncomfortable. It's a lot of scratching sensation around your ass, like, because they lay eggs around your fucking asshole, right? So, I had parasites twice as a kid. And these are visible parasites. These aren't like, the microscopic single cell ones that most people do have. According to PubMed, which is a very credible source, I might add, about 40% of people that they test for have parasites of some kind. Which, that's a pretty crazy number, considering that if you're going to get tested for parasites, you're probably in the first world country just wanting to get tested. If you're in the middle of batshit nowhere, the last thing in your mind, right, when you're struggling for food is parasites. So maybe like 1/3 of the world actually has a parasite of some kind. Now I'm kind of sound like I'm fear-mongering of some sort, right? Because I've told my story, I've told how many people could actually have this. What can you do about it? There's something I like to say: preventive measures. You can eat cleaner food, you can make sure that your water is filtered better, and make sure you don't leave food out more than 2 hours. Yes, it's 2 hours, by the way. If you don't leave food more than 2 hours, in any circumstance, bacteria will start to grow, it'll make your meat go bad, it'll make everything go bad. Except for things that can actually be kept out of the fridge, of course. Now, of course, you can go get tested for parasites, which they have many methods, which the most common one will be, inspecting your shit, right? And that's actually not very accurate. It'll just show if there's eggs or something like that, but what if there was no eggs, right? Because, I'm pretty sure tapeworms don't actually reproduce inside the body. So there might be a plethora of tests. I never needed to get tested for pinworms because it's pretty obvious. You'll see them and feel pinworms, and it's very disgusting, which is transmitted from people that have it, and the eggs can lay dormant, it would just be trapped around your dirty fingernails. See, but the thing about pinworms is it's very common around North America, around Europe. It's more common than you would think. It's transmitted through, obviously, shit, right? But even then, right, one of the playgrounds didn't wash their hands properly after wiping their ass. Eggs get into the sand, right, and they can lay dormant for years. And so you don't wash your hands before eating your food, and boom, like that, you're now contracted with worms. And that's probably what likely happened with me, because I was a kid. Now, if you get worms, they'll often prescribe you a medication, which could be expensive or could not be. For me, it was about $20 for about 2 weeks worth of it, which is not terrible. It's about about one meal. But I also found another way naturally, because I didn't want to go get the medication again for some reason, which I probably could have. But here's an alternative: is spicy garlic, really hot garlic, the Russian or Spanish variations of garlic, because they're really fucking hot. And on top of that, have coconut oil. For me, that got rid of my parasites, because when the second time I got rid of it naturally within a week, just by consuming those two things. And I've also heard that rosemary, thyme, and there's one other fucking thing I don't remember, but there's actually natural ways to get rid of them as well. See, this whole parasite thing piqued my interest because I've seen this message on a forum that we're the only mammals that are in our presence that we don't get regularly tested for, worms or any parasites, because we treat our dogs, we get them tested all the time, or cats if you're a good owner. But how often do you check up on your 8-year-old kid? Or yourself even? I might go this week to see if I have any parasites, because that's a little bit freaky. Having something that's living inside you that's not, bacteria or something that's microscopic is a little bit frightening. And I remember when I was 11 and I had my worms, it was kind of fucking terrifying seeing those worms come out of me. It's like blowflies, which are also another type of parasite. I haven't talked about even external, head lice, I didn't shave my hair because I had lice. I just wanted to shave my head. I just had to clear that. But also fucking crabs and your fucking nuts. That's also a parasite. We could also describe like funguses, like warts, as technically a parasite since it's living and living on your body. Which warts can be pretty common. Ringworm, I guess, is technically another fungus that lives on your body. Which I would also consider them parasites. I think we should start looking at parasites more as like as common as like influenza, as the flu, to be checked up on. Because whether there's an outbreak of like, you know, on romaine lettuce of some fucking stupid worm or some shit that a bunch of people get, right? It could happen. There's parasites that are transmitted from vegetables and fruits and shit, right? So it could happen. So what are we learning from this? We learned that it's a lot more common than we usually think that parasites live in our body. And it is freaky. But in most cases, it's not deadly. I mean, pinworms are very uncomfortable, but they're not gonna kill you. And you probably should get rid of them, because yikes, they're not very fun. Roundworms can be pretty freaky. And tapeworms even more freaky because they don't live in your gut. They can live any part of your body. Like, be careful stepping outside with bare feet, because that's their most common place to go, is near your leg from your foot. With this information, I want everyone to stay safe and a little bit more vigilant from these things. And remember to love yourself so you can save yourself. Good night, everybody.